what if our timeline is incorrect? What if they have added 1,000 years here or there? This graph would certainly compress if so. We will not be solving the problem of shifting obliquity. We are, after all, mere mortals with short lifespans. But these so-called ancient solar observatories do warrant some further investigation. Are they genuine, or just repurposed sites like the cathedral heliometers? I want to show you something now that's quite remarkable. Look. Whoa. As you just saw, many of the so-called ancient monuments of the past still, to this day, perfectly align with the annual equinox and other key dates. And before you get too excited and start claiming that those of the old world were true masters of the universe and built these structures to align perfectly with the equinox, let's look a little closer at this. The work of Dr. Jayasri Saranathan brought something to my attention that I had not really considered before. The Gregorian calendar was established 439 years ago, in 1582, around the same time the astronomers started making holes in cathedrals. And one of the primary purposes for its creation was to stop the calendar drifting from the equinox date of March 21st. As if things were not confusing enough already, the solar or tropical year is determined by the length of time it takes for the sun to journey from one spring equinox to the following spring equinox. And this amounts to 365.2422 days. But a sidereal year is the time it takes for the sun to return to the same position with respect to the fixed stars beyond. The solar year is 20 minutes shorter than the sidereal year, and they tell us this is because of the precession of the equinoxes. Remember, in this theory, the Earth is tracing out a cone-like trajectory, and because of this, the intersecting point here between the celestial equator and the ecliptic, or what we call the equinox, is supposed to be moving backward or westward at a rate of 1 degree every 72 years. If the sun falls behind by 20 minutes a year, this means it falls behind an entire 24 hours, a whole day, every 72 years. As Sarah Nathan states, it is understood that there is no change in the tropical equinoctial date in the Gregorian calendar. The spring equinox always occurs on the 21st of March, or the 20th to 21st of March. As per precession theory, this date must have drifted by 5.9 days since the inception of the Gregorian calendar, 430 years ago, but it is found to be occurring on the same date. These structures should not align with the March 21st equinox date of today if they were built hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, to align with the equinox date of their time. The brainwashed will shout that this is because the Gregorian calendar is constructed to ensure the March equinox pretty much remains the same, give or take a day or two. But the only adjustment in the calendar is for the leap year. You cannot tell me that these structures align exactly on this date because the calendar computes one leap year every 4 years. If this Mayan pyramid was built over 1,000 years ago, then the calendar date of the equinox should have shifted by 13.8 days. The serpent shadow should not appear in March. If Angkor Wat was constructed 900 years ago, then the date should have shifted by 12.5 days. And what about structures like the Temple of Abu Simbel? Every year, on the 22nd of February and October, this chamber is illuminated by the sun to mark King Ramesses' birthday and coronation. These dates are not on the equinox, and yet they still align today, with a structure that has allegedly held this alignment for thousands of years. And we see the same thing here with Newgrange, a structure that is allegedly 5,000 years old, but still aligns with the winter solstice date year after year. This date should have drifted by 69 days. If Stonehenge was constructed over 4,000 years ago, then the calendar date of the summer solstice should have shifted by 55 days, which means it should occur in April. To think these alignments are all the work of the Gregorian calendar is absurd. No, the only reasonable explanation for this is that the Earth and Sun are bound in their alignment, and that there is a complete absence of precession or movement in regard to the Earth. And really, it's marvellous when our two key opponents, that is, his story and heliocentrism, unashamedly enter a stalemate. Mr. Tyson and Mr. Cox want you to believe that not only is our realm a spherical mass that orbits a gigantic sun, which squats stationary millions of miles away, but they also want you to believe that this spherical mass is tilted on its axis, wobbling and precessing. All the while not one of our senses perceive this motion, and both the ancient structures of the past and the Gregorian calendar prove that there is no axial precession. They prove that the Earth and Sun are bound in their alignment, and it is the Sun that is moving relative to the fixed stars beyond. And then you have the pseudo-archaeologists and pseudo-historians such as John Major Jenkins and Graham Hancock trying to do the damage control. If the Great Pyramid and Angkor Wat have astronomical alignments, then, according to Hancock, this means that they must have been built over 20,000 years ago, to align with the precession of the Earth. John Major Jenkins declared that some of these structures and their astronomical alignments mean that they were built as a precessional clock with its alarm set for the 21st century. Yeah, right, it's one of the most ridiculous statements ever made. The Earth is not moving. It is the luminaries that are moving. And there we have it. Are the astronomers lying, or are the historians lying? They have a stalemate, but we have a checkmate.